A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alliance Sim Racing, brought to you by Simple Racing Broadcast. It is round 9, Montreal, Canada, and we are getting to the very pointy end of the season now. Only 2 rounds to go. My name is Isaac Fogarty. It's a pleasure to have your company wherever you are watching from this evening. And in the booth with me this evening is Josh Harris. Josh, a very warm welcome to you back to the booth. We've been blessed with your company a couple times throughout the season with the walkthroughs of the track, but we get your lovely company in the booth this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me along, Isaac. It's been a couple of months since I've been here at ASR. Pretty cool to be back and, calling the races. Unfortunately, I had some hardware issues that have precluded me from recording any more of those little walkthroughs, so not sure whether anyone's actually missing them, but I have missed being a part of the broadcast each week. Excited to come back here for 2 weeks. I'm back in next week too, if you weren't aware. But Montreal, Canada. I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually managed to get a chance to cut any laps here in a supercar, but I have had my ear to the ground, and apparently it is super, super fun. It is just such a good track, Isaac, and in anything I think it'll be fun, but going to be one heck of a challenge in these big beasts that are supercars.
Yeah, it certainly will be. I've been watching the drivers throughout practice, and there's been a couple issues with locking up, especially in the hairpin down the bottom of the circuit. So looking forward to seeing how that develops across the evening with our drivers and the wear that might have on the engine. But yes, as you said, yourself and I in the booth for the next 2 weeks. Jared has kindly enough handed us the keys for the broadcast, and
who knows?
Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out. But no, we do, we'll do a good job for everybody this evening. But yeah, looking to what we have ahead of us, 15 laps for race 1 this evening, and then 30 laps for race 2 with 2 compulsory pit stops and a reverse top 10. Reverse top 10 always adds a little bit of added interest, especially at a circuit like Canada. Let's have a look at our championship standings and what they look like heading into this round. It is Wayne Walker that leads the way, but it is getting close at the top of the standings between himself and Matt Vanderkraan. Just over 30 points, 31 points to be exact, separate the 2 drivers. And that is getting close with only 2 rounds left in the championship. Then a fair bit of a gap back to Mark Pointon, over 100 points between himself and Wayne Walker. Then it's Stephen Varga, Jason Bentz, Jim Capronis, all within fairly close points gaps of each other as well. So 4th, 5th and 6th place yet to be decided, and that could swing either way at the moment in that championship as well. Andrew Rushworth, Ryan Palmer, Mick Clifton and Troy Stonestreet inside the top 10. Then Lorne McKee still leads the way in the Trophy Cup class, and it is a little bit of a gap back to Andrew Lissner, about 60 or 70 points back to 2nd place in that. And then Rick Vigar as well, also vying for that Trophy Class Championship. Jamie McKnight, Jason Douglas, Craig Schulz, Trav Daly inside the top 20. Andrew Hoffman, Nick Geary and Ernie Toth rounding out the top 20 in the championship. Looking a little further afield, we have Luke Allman and Glenn Boyce, Abel Verban, Ken Ladder and Damon Fisher inside the top 25, James Hardy, Blake Warboys, Troy Sipple, Scott Perrins, Jamie Dyke down there in 30th, Brad Grant, Jason Dunn, Dean Logsdale, Vince Salvatore in 34th, Todd Martin, Brad Hayes, Phil Manuel, David Tadell, Chad Viger and Brian Borg, who's had a team name update this week and is driving for My Stang Mods. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Brian Borg will bounce back this week. He had a bit of a rough week last week in Miami with that incident with David Logsdale, who I just don't think realised that there was a turn coming up, and was very focused on Ryan Palmer alongside him. But thankfully, both drivers are back this week, and hopefully it's a bit of a stronger result for both drivers.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. I haven't had a huge amount of time this season to watch the guys go to work, but I'm really excited to see tonight. I've got to say, having not had a chance to keep up all that much with the standings, how exciting to see a really close championship battle this far into the season. The last few, when I was here offering my insights, by this stage we really started to see Wayne Walker stretches legs. But looks like Matt Vanderkamp's keeping him honest this season. It is exciting to see. Really close pack the whole way through. One thing that I do know from my time both in the ASR Discord, which if you are looking to join as we come towards the end of the season, now is a great time to find yourself an invite to the ASR Discord and get ready for next season. But through my time there and through my time chatting to my own teammate Ryan Palmer, I know that this season of ASR has been particularly tight. It's fantastic to see. These guys always put on a great show, but it sounds like this year, or this season in particular, things have really started to condense at the top of the field.
Yeah, it's really been. Wayne Walker has got a run for his money from Matt Vanderkamp, which I think is good. It's nice to see a little bit of pressure applied, and it's really made both drivers begin to sort of step it up as the season's gone on. It's been great racing between them at the front of the field. We're not too far away from qualifying being completed. We'll be able to bring you what the grid does look like, and seeing just a little cheeky look myself at the current leaderboard. There's some big names up the top of that field, and a couple of different names getting towards the top of that field as well. So we'll bring you that very, very shortly. But talk to us, obviously. Josh, you've driven a lot of laps in these cars, not necessarily, as you said, at Canada, but a lot of laps in these cars. It's quite cool out there at the moment, only 19 degrees. Is that going to have a bit of an effect on these drivers, especially at the start of the race, trying to get the tyres up to temperature?
No, these supercars are actually, they're quite the opposite of a lot of cars. The cooler, the better. These cars are absolutely at their very best from the moment that you roll out of the pit. So these guys will be loving some cool track temps, keeping everything under wraps and prolonging that tyre life. You mentioned before, Isaac, that we've seen some locking during practice tonight. I did get a little bit of insight from Ryan Palmer into the fixed setup for tonight, and what I would consider to be a out of the ordinary choice for brake master cylinder size, which is going to affect that front locking. So Ryan flagged straight away that locking everywhere, but especially into the hairpin, is going to be pretty prevalent tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said, we'll keep a very close eye on that throughout the race. But here we go. We have the grid, and it is Brian Borg on pole position from Matt Vanderkamp, almost half a second back to the man that sits second place in the championship. Mark Point and Wayne Walker will share the second row of the grid. Then it's Damon Fisher and Ryan Palmer on row number 3. Stephen Varga, Luke Allman on row number 4, and 9th and 10th belongs to Phil Manuel and Craig Schulz. Looking a little further down the grid, we have Andrew Listener, the first of our Trophy Cup drivers, on in 11th with Rick Vigard sharing the row 6th row of the grid with him. Andrew Rushworth, James Hardy, row number 7. Then Dave Tadell, Nick Geary, Jim Capronis and Brad Grant, and Mick Clifton and Abel Verbound rounding out that top 20. Then it's Ernie Toth and Andrew Hoffman on row number 11. Troy Sipple, Scott Perrins, row number 12. Jason Douglas and Craig Rose in 25th and 26th. David Logsdale and Jamie McKnight, who has not set a time in qualifying. Neither has Troy Stonestreet or Simon Haynes. And so Todd Martin in race control this evening. Jason Dunn, Finn Salvatore, Dave Galley and Ash Hall also not setting times in qualifying, but I believe we will all see them out on the grid for the race. So as we mentioned, Todd Martin in race control this evening will be running the safety car. But Brian Borg on pole, that is a statement after last week, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and 4/10 in this field is pretty significant. We'll see whether he's got the race pace to go on with it, but it's an ominous sign. The other name that I'd be keeping an eye on, Jace Douglas, finds himself buried in the field, probably not where he would expect to be, and I think that he will be on a charge tonight, that's for sure.
Absolutely, he will be, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do. We're not too far away from a race start here. We're just waiting for the last of the cars to jump onto the grid. Rick Vigar and Andrew Rushworth, 2 of those. We'll get our little timing screen up to the side here. You'll be able to see just who we are waiting on to jump on to the grid. And look at that front row. Brian Borg and Matt Vanderkamp. Matt Vanderkamp in a very strong position to try and gain some points on Wayne Walker here this evening, if he can stay where he is at the moment. But we know Wayne Walker, he has been very quick. He was quick last week as well, showed absolute class at Miami to pretty much dominate the entire evening and win both races quite comfortably. Will he be able to do the same this evening at Montreal? We're just waiting on a couple more cars. Jamie McKnight and Simon Haynes at the back of the group. We're waiting for them to jump on, and then we will have a race start. So not too far away at all from the first 15 laps this evening. 15-lap sprint race coming your way very shortly, and then a 30-lap race with 2 compulsory stops later on this evening with as we said, 2 compulsory pit stops and a reverse top 10. So however they finish in this race, we're going to take the top 10 and flip that around. We are now gridding. So we are very, very close to a race start. The lights are coming up and we have lights out and we are away for race 1 of the evening. And it is a great start for the man on pole. And we're going to jump to look at turn 1 now as they run down towards for the first time. And it is a great start for Brian Borg, who has gotten ahead of Matt Vanderkraan off the line. Wayne Walker also up into 3rd position off the start. And there's a couple of cars still trying to sort out positions further back in pack as we run through the first sector now. And everyone fighting for their own little bit of real estate. Everybody trying to sort out what order they're going to be in. And it's a lovely start for the man that was on pole, Brian Borg, into the lead of this race, followed by Matt Vanderkraan, Wayne Walker, Mark Point and Ryan Palmer up into 5th place off the start here, so also gained a position off the start. He's very notorious for that in supercars in general. He's very good at his race starts, but a wonderful start. Look at the gap that Brian Borg has already, over half a second. He is trying to build a bit of distance between himself and Matt Vanderkraan off the start here. But that is, wonderful start for Impulsitor further back in the field as well, looking just at what is happening up and down that grid. Andrew Listner has the lead in the Trophy Cup class off the start as well.
We have actually come under safety car, Isaac. It did get announced just a second ago. We do have looks like a car stuck, maybe even on the front row. Oh, sorry, on the front straight. I noticed just in the background of shots as they started, someone just didn't get off the line. So I'm not exactly sure. I think it's Hoffman that's requested the tow.
We might have a replay here.
But it just looked like they just didn't get a start at all. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but I did see the chaos that ensued afterwards. And so there we go. And then a big hit from Jamie McKnight into the back of Hoffman. So that's a bit of a shame. And it looks like McKnight stuck there on the front straight and enough damage that he's had to request a tow. Hoffman is going to be limping around to the back. There's no doubt about that. A shame for the race to get under that way. Looks like a stalled car on the start line to me. I'm really interested, though, to see how things progress from here, Isaac. Really interesting track here at Montreal. Lots and lots of changes of direction, which is pretty difficult in these cars. And 2 points in particular. One, the chicane out the back, and then, of course, the Wall of Champions, where reasonably fast corners. Prone to running wide, but there's a big fat concrete wall on the right hand side both times, and I would not be surprised at all to see some issues at both of those. This is one of those positions. This is actually a fairly fast little flip flop, and you get the car on the slide there, and you find the wall pretty quickly. We do have the safety car coming in this lap, so we are getting ready to resume racing, which is incredibly exciting. Let's see whether we can get a full lap of racing. I'm not sure what you think. I reckon the guys will have settled in, and the first lap actually looks pretty good, other than that unfortunate start lap incident. So hopefully they now get stuck into racing and we see these 15 laps disappear really quickly, and we get to see a whole heap of fun Montreal action.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, I did miss that off the start line, but yeah, unfortunate for McKnight and Hoffman. Hopefully that they get that repaired and they can get back out there. Obviously, there is another race later this evening as well. But that was Simon Haynes who saw behind the wheel of the Chubby Buns safety car. Now the control of the field is handed to the man on your screen, Brian Borg. We'll go towards the final chicane, the Wall of Champions, which is a big feature of that, as you mentioned, and we're looking forward to seeing him navigate that. And he has actually gone already. I was about to ask, when does he go? And he has gone. So we are back to green flag running now in this race, and we will get, hopefully, a whole lap of green flag racing here. And he has ditched the field. Brian Borg off to a wonderful start. He is well and truly in command of this race already and has walked away 1.2 seconds up the road from Matt Vanderkraan, almost disappearing into the distance off the start. And yeah, I don't know if Matt Vanderkraan just wasn't quite aware of when he would go. He did go pretty early, about halfway down the straight before they even got to the final chicane, so wasn't maybe really completely aware that Brian Borg was planning to go, but nevertheless, Brian Borg up into the distance. Wayne Walker putting a lot of pressure on Matt Vanderkraan now. This is for second place on the road, obviously, but this is the championship battle in the grand scheme of things between these two, Wayne Walker and Matt Vanderkraan. First and second in the championship, and Matt Vanderkraan will want to make sure that he can get as many points over Wayne Walker as possible. So holding Wayne Walker at bay will be his main goal, his main focus here. He's got Mark Poynton and Ryan Palmer behind, so hopefully, well, I'm sure he'll be hoping that they can apply a bit of pressure to the reigning champion and maybe mean that Matt Vanderkraan get a little bit of breathing room here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be interested to see how this pans out, though, Isaac. I'm not 100% sure what car it was. I'm pretty sure that I spotted a car weaving after the safety car had pulled away, which would constitute tyre warming, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's an investigation there. But I also just quickly dived into the driver's briefing, and it very clearly states that the acceleration zone... Oh, there was a huge moment in the background. I think that was Ryan Palmer. I think that he has managed to catch that. That was absolutely enormous. We'll have to try and get a replay of that sometime soon. But I do just want to touch on the fact, as we see here, Ryan Palmer trying to hold that position, going too wide with Fisher, I think it would have been, and coming off second best. But honestly, after a moment like that through the Wall of Champions, he probably should just be thankful that he's still on the track and facing forward and not absolutely in a bucket of bolts. But I just read the driver's briefing really quickly, Isaac, and the acceleration point on a safety car restart is very clearly called out as the exit of turn 13, which is the right-hander, the second last corner, and I would be of the opinion that Brian Borg went early. So it'll be interesting to see whether that's penalised or whether they're going to let that one slide, and that's the precedent for tonight. You can go before the chicane, but it's going to be an interesting time while we wait to see whether anything comes of it. As we see here now, Ryan Palmer still absolutely trying to get this position back. We do have another safety car. The field has been put on the safety car again. I did hear someone requested a tow. I'm not 100% sure who it is, but there is someone out and about on the field desperately awaiting the... they're desperately awaiting the recovery team to get out there and help them.
Popped the motor. So that is very disappointing. We did talk earlier on that I think there was going to be a lot of pressure on these engines tonight, and a lot of fast of them, which means that it might have happened, though. That seemed to be a little bit of a strange spot for that to take place. I'm just trying to find anywhere that I can this overtake with the half spin from Ryan Palmer, and I might actually have it here if we have a look at this replay. And here we go. Look at, just overcorrected in the second phase of the chicane and got very sideways. So maybe not as bad as we first thought, but it did look pretty bad. And I'm sure it didn't feel great in the cockpit.
Yeah, look, what I can give people a little insight into, from the outside, these cars look reasonably controlled, and everything looks like it's fairly well under control. They're, they look like they're measured on turn in, and that they come off the corners straight and stuff like that. From the inside of the cockpit, they are a huge handful, and what that tells me is that if you are seeing that much attitude on the outside of the car, there was a whole heap of hands and feet going in all sorts of directions inside the car to try and keep that one pointing forward. Look, I'll give Ryan a portion of credit. He can have a couple of skill points there, but I'm going to put at least 50% of that to Lady Luck.
Yeah, don't give Brian Palmer too much credit at all. We know what he's like. We don't want to give him too much props to it. But no, that was a pretty good save. But yeah, as you said, he definitely got a little bit lucky there catching that one. These cars are absolutely a handful. And we'll just take a moment now as the field does roll through, just to see. I know we haven't had a lot of time under green, but we have had a couple big movers. Jason Douglas is one of those that has moved up 7 spots so far in this race. And Troy Stone Street also up 6 spots, as well as Ash Hall. So there are a couple drivers out there that, despite there being limited racing, have actually been able to get going fairly quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys, definitely qualified out of position. Probably helped a little bit by a couple of people breaking down, but not at all surprised to see them starting to put moves on through the field. I guess the challenge for Jace sitting back in 18th is, does he have enough laps to fight all the way through to 10th to secure himself an absolutely fantastic opportunity to start on the front row in race 2? These laps under safety car not helping his charge at all. However, they do keep on regrouping the field for him. So, as he is losing time to the leaders while they do a little bit of work, they then regroup the whole pack for him. So, pros and cons, but not at all surprised to see those guys up a few positions early on.
No, absolutely not. I just noticed in the background there, as the safety car was rolling through, Brad Grant has repaired that car and is rolling back out, so he'll be a lap down, but another safety car later on in this race, and he should be able to get that lap back. We did clarify last week after an incident at Watkins Glen that it is you have to wait until the race control 1 gives you the go ahead to unlap yourself. But if you are the cause of the safety car, you are not allowed to unlap yourself during that same safety car period. So there's been a clarification on those rules. I believe that was always the case, but it has been clarified over the last few weeks, just so that drivers definitely understand that if they are the cause of the safety car, or for whatever reason they are the reason the safety car is out there, essentially, they're not allowed to unlap themselves in that same safety car period. So Brad Grant will have to stay lapped down for now, and then hopefully I'm sure he'll be hoping that there'll be another safety car before this race is over to get him back on the lead laps, so we can maybe get some points.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment we're 6 laps in, 3 laps under safety car. So we'll see how they go from here. But wouldn't be surprised if there is another. This is a huge brake application track. So those popped engines are definitely a genuine problem, as we do see the Chubby Buns safety car pulls away from the front of the field. Borg has control again. Just keeping an eye in the background to see whether anyone tries to do any cheeky last-minute tyre warming this time, or whether they realise their mistake under the safety car last time. And importantly, where does Borg go? Does he go early again? Was that a one-and-done strategy? Does he realise that he potentially made a mistake and is now sweating bullets on the fact that there is a potential penalty coming? Or was everybody so busy looking after everything else in race control they didn't even see it? The safety car is in the pit lane. We do have the My Mustang Mods Mustang in control of the field, crawling along here. Gee, it feels like it's snail's pace as they get ready to go racing. A really difficult portion of track to get racing on, Isaac. If it was me, I'm probably going to go right about now and try and catch as much of the field napping as I can, and that's exactly what he's done. He is absolutely out of there, while as much of the train he's still navigating the flip-flop as possible. Not as good of a start this time. It's only 3/10 as he comes through turn 1 and into 2-3. He has run a little bit wide there, but still a good start. Ryan Palmer immediately on the attack, but not able to get past Fisher, although he will be desperate to get that position back that he lost, and I'm sure that he's frustrated at himself after what was an unforced error. This pack has immediately settled back into a nice little rhythm. Can they manage to get through the rest of this race unscathed?
That's the question that we will be asking. We'll keep an eye on if that safety car does make another appearance. But for now, we are green once again, and everyone is back out there and rolling. And Brian Borg, he's listed as an off-track incident, but I don't think it was really an off-track incident. I think it might have just been a little bit of a corner cut, potentially. But Matt Vanderkraan is doing everything he can to continue to defend from Wayne Walker, who is throwing everything at the Angry Birds Racing driver. Is he going to have a think about a look into the hairpin? No, he doesn't on that occasion. And we'll continue to have to sit in behind for now. Just noticing Andrew Listener is leading the Trophy Cup class and is in 10th place. So this is provisional pole for the next race for the for this man on screen. He's also trying to fight for a championship victory in the Trophy Cup class. There's no Law McKee once again this evening, so this is the second week in a row we've missed out on Law McKee. So this should, in theory, promote Andrew Listener to the lead of the Trophy Cup Championship. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister, that one, ladies and gentlemen. But he should promote him to the championship lead, and you'd think, being in 10th position, he's in a good position, well, got himself in a good position to really capitalise on some good points here this evening.
Yeah, and if he can stay there in 10th, and the next in that Cup Championship, Trophy Championship, sorry, is in 11th. That buys him a fantastic little gap to start race 2. Obviously, there's a couple of the main, pro guys that are a little bit further back in this race that are going to come through, and you would expect to be able to get past a lot of those fighting for that Trophy Cup. But it's going to be interesting, and for the listener, if he can get himself up onto pole, or even if there's a couple of incidents in front of him, a 9th or an 8th, if he can get himself up there, get that good start for race 2, he just buys himself so much time over everyone else behind him that he can have he can be passed by a lot of people and still end up back in 10th. We do have a huge incident there in the background, and there's also someone that's been spun. That's been going on for a little while. That does look like Troy Stonestreet. So he'd moved forward, but unfortunately has found himself unstuck. That incident, I had that up on my monitor, and it seemed to go on for quite a while. And then, of course, I did see a Frog Leg Juice racing car in the fence in the background. It looked like it was all on its own, but here is Stonestreet putting on a big dive and just straight into the back of Sips, who in turn spins car 351.
Clifton, I believe.
It is. Yeah. It's an interesting one. Closing. That was definitely one of those closing door moments, and potentially Stonestreet was absolutely committed by that point and was left nowhere to go. But alas, I have heard the reporting on the radio. Race Control will be looking at it. They'll have all of the views available, and they'll pass their judgment. But for me, it looked pretty awkward. There's a bit to dissect there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to have a look at this angle. This is from the back of Mick Clifton. So you can see there's Troy Stonestreet. Troy Sipple has a bit of a lock-up. You can see the smoke, and then just both get up the inside. And Mick Clifton, really the innocent passenger and all that, isn't he? Had nowhere really to go. And as a result, just sort of got caught up in incident between the two of them. This is Stone Street now trying to get past Vince Salvatore up the inside into the braking zone, gets that position back. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's an interesting one. I'm sure the Shields will have a look at it and have a think about it. Oh, in the background, Damon Fisher is also going for an overtake on Ryan Palmer. Here we go.
Stipple, there's big dramas at the hairpin.
Oh no. There is Sips once again, all trying to sort it out at the hairpin. So it's all happening, and that is massive damage. I believe that's Ash Hall that actually is really limping along. We'll get a look. He's rolling again now, but it is... it's all happening. We saw Jim Capronis and Rick Vigar as well appear to have had some sort of incident further back in the pack. And look at these guys trying to sort it out as we get to very wide there from one of the Quantum Racing cars. And look at them all scatter across the road. We're going to go 3 wide, ladies and gentlemen, down the front straight. And Vince Salvatore really wants a part of it, weaving back and forth across the track to try and get himself involved in what's going on here. You're looking at Ash Hall on your screen at the moment, just in front of him is Troy Sipple, and these guys are having a fairly, I think a ding-dong is the legal term. We'll have a look at the replay here. This is Troy Sipple looking back at what happened, and he's just went off the road.
I was going to say, we need to be looking forward for Troy Sipple. Yeah. It looked pretty similar to the lap before, but what we saw on this one was Sips got wide, and he was in the grass. Once he was in the grass, it was all over, but that one, the lap before, as we see here, we end up with a car, yeah, absolutely, out in the grass. And once you're in the grass, it's all over. And of course, from there, it was just a bit of 10-pin bowling.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just want to have a look as well at what might have happened with Jim Capronis here, which says he crashed Rick Vigar, who went very wide, and just a bit of contact. Rick Vigar's come back on the track, and after running wide, and Jim Capronis was there, and there's just a bit of contact between the two of them has sort of caused a bit more of an incident there than I think either would have liked. But that was a very dangerous re-entry there, and I'm sure the Shields will have a look at that one as well as we look further forward. In this field, Ryan Palmer is ahead, and Damon Fisher are both ahead of Mark Poynton. Actually, something has happened to Mark Poynton to lose a couple of spots.
I think Poynton might have had a slowdown penalty. I did hear, while all that's been going on, I'm sure everyone can imagine the race control channel is absolutely alight in my ears, and there has been a couple of reports, and one of them was from Ryan Palmer. A little bit of let's call it funny business going on up the front. People trying to protect their position. Just asked to have a look at for race control, just to check whether anything untoward was done. We do jump on board with Wayne Walker tucked right up in behind Matt Vanderkraan. You can see just how little of this track you're able to see, and there's that move. Classic move here at Montreal, around the kink and then hard on the brakes into the hairpin. It's so easy to get wrong because if you are committed and the other car pushes you wide, it's all over. But it looks like Wayne Walker here is on the inside, on the way into the Wall of Champions. And he should be able to get it done with a little bit of sneaky racecraft. He does. He gets the preferred line into that chicane and just immediately slams the door closed on Matt Vanderkraan. Vanderkraan will take a deep breath and have a crack coming back. One thing that I know about the Angry Birds team, and Matt Vanderkraan in particular, is that he's not going to take that and just let someone drive away. He is going to have he's going to take every opportunity he can to get that back. Just in back a shot here, Jace Douglas. He's up to 14th. He's got 3 more laps, but he is definitely on the move and attempting. Yeah, absolutely. He's attempting to move forward. So he's up to 13th now. That's one of those positions. Can Jace go from really what was buried in the field and manage to get himself a front row start for race 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Damon Fisher's lost a lot of spots there. I'm wondering if that was a slowdown. It does say he had an off track, so we'll see if we can get a bit of an explanation as to what might have happened to Damon Fisher right here. Had Mark Poynton in behind him for company and off the road here. And looks like, just a massive, that would have been a huge slowdown that he had to serve and cost him quite a lot of spots. And look at him just sitting there trying to clear that as everyone goes past so that he he does not have to try and carry that for as long as possible. That lost him quite a large number of spots, and we turn our attention back to the live picture now. With look at this battle pack. This starts at Andrew Listener in 9th place and goes all the way back to Damon Fisher in 14th now, with Jace Douglas involved in here, Andrew Rushworth as well, a part of this group. Craig Schulz just in front of Andrew Rushworth. Andrew Rushworth is the car we're focusing on at the moment. And yeah, this is a nice little battle for the essentially what will be the front row of the grid come up in race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. You want a little bit of incentive to race hard for the final 3 laps. Well, this is it. Everyone here's in a battle. And if I'm Jace Douglas, I am certainly just hoping that a bunch of people in front of me start banging into each other, and a couple of doors open up, and I waltz on through to a 10th or maybe even a 9th place finish. But what an unreal battle! And this track here in Montreal really bringing out the goods. It is a challenging track. It is fast, it's flowing, but there's a couple of really big stops and. Feels quite claustrophobic. This section down here, now you got walls all around you, and you're heading towards the hairpin, all that sort of stuff. It's not necessarily the widest place on earth to go racing a car. That's for sure.
No, it does not look very wide. It definitely has a street circuit feel to it. And I made a comment of that last week, I believe. We were at Miami last week. We're at Adelaide next week for the final round. And this circuit as well, even though it's a permanent race circuit, as Jace Douglas has a little bit of a think about going up the inside, but not close enough on that occasion. It does have a little bit of a street circuit feel to it, despite it being a permanent race circuit, just because the walls are so close all the time. You just feel like you constantly got concrete either side of you. There's no real way to escape it, especially in this final sector. And you come through this final chicane, and I don't think it gets more street circuit than this. You throw it across what is a very aggressive chicane, and there's a concrete wall right there for you to just say hello to if you get it even slightly wrong.
Yeah, we saw Damon Fisher there just drag the rear quarter up the concrete wall. These guys know that they've got to push the very limits of what they can if they're going to squeeze any lap time out, and that's what it takes. But you're right. The other thing that gives it that street track feel is you're often turning right as you enter into a braking zone, which is just a huge. Just a huge impedance in these cars. It's very hard. You really can't go for the brake until you've got them, squared up, and that just makes it a huge challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we saw earlier, going for the brake, sometimes you can trying to pull the car up, shift down a bit too early, pop a motor, and unfortunately, for Greg Grant, he is the first victim this evening. I do not think he will be the last here at Canada, but we have just over a lap to go. We should get the white flag next time for Brian Borbach, who's almost 2.5 seconds clear. Oh, very deep under brakes for Luke Orman. 2.5 seconds clear of Wayne Walker out the front of this field. They've all sort of spread out. The closest battle we have is Craig Schulz has lost a handful of positions. So it's all, we've had a car around. That is James Hardy that has spun. Craig Schulz has also been caught up in that. So Jason Douglas is actually into the 10 now. Speaking, we did wonder whether that was going to happen. The white flag is out. Let's have a look at this incident in the hairpin. This is looking and following James Hardy. Craig Schulz in the background under brakes. Just carries a little bit too much speed and they get together. Listener's done very well to avoid that. And Jace Douglas has said, thank you very much, gentlemen. I will go on through to 10th place. And that's just something very easy to do. You carry a little bit too much speed and brake into that corner. And you can lock up, collect another car. We've seen that done a couple times this evening.
I'll tell you one thing that I've picked up on that we're seeing time and time again into that air in every one of these incidents is that they always tend to be the third car involved. So what we're seeing is 3 cars line astern. There's that big fast sweeper, and the car in the middle starts to think, you know what, I'm going to come out of the sweeper and I'm going to drift a little bit wide and I'm going to throw it down the inside of the car that's leading this little train. Then the car in third is also thinking to themselves, I'm going to get a little bit wide and I'm going to throw it down the inside of the car that's in the middle of the train. And so as that middle car comes out to the right, the third car has to come further. And what that does is that unsettles that third car even more. We saw Sips at one point. He ended up in the grass, and obviously as soon as you're in the grass in one of these things, you touch the brake pedal and it nearly accelerates you. You just have no hope of stopping. But every one of those incidents, it's been that third car who ends up way wide on the track. The car's unsettled, they can't pull it up, and they end up having that incident. But we do now jump forward to Brian Borg. He does roll across the start-finish line with a 2-second gap back to Wayne Walker in second. Matt Vanderkraan rounds out the podium before Ryan Palmer in fourth place with a huge gap back to Vargs, with Allman and Poynton coming across the line incredibly closely behind before Phil Manuel, and then Jace Douglas up into ninth, Listener in 10th, and there's that all-important Trophy Cup start. He's going to start in pole, the next Trophy Cup competitor all the way back in 14th, Isaac.
Yeah, that is a huge difference between the Trophy Cup drivers, and that's going to create quite a considerable amount of breathing room for Andrew Listener in this second race coming up. We've still got cars coming across the line. Here comes, this will be Craig Rose, Troy Sipple, and Ash Hall across the line. Look how close it is between all three of the Quantum Racing drivers. And then Hoffman and Perrins, and I believe that was Brad Grant across the line as well. So that should be all of our drivers now across the start-finish line, and we can have a look at our race results very, very shortly. We'll just wait for everyone to cross. I think we're still waiting on one more car. It might be David Logsdale, actually, that we're still waiting on, and we'll have a look in just a few moments' time. So he does now come across the line. We should get the race results as soon as this session is finished. And there we go. We can have a look at our final race results for this one. They are loading on your screen momentarily, ladies and gentlemen. They've gone away from me. I'm learning how all these buttons work this evening. There we go. It has come up for me now. Brian Borg takes the victory, 2 seconds back to Wayne Walker, and then Matt Vanderkraan another 6 seconds back on the race winner, about another 4 seconds back on his championship rival in Wayne Walker. And Ryan Palmer and Stephen Varga in the top 5. Luke Allman, Mark Poynton, very close between the two of them at the end. Phil Manuel in 8th, sort of flew under the radar in that race, but a strong result inside the top 10. Jason Douglas does jump up into the top 10 at the end of that one. Andrew Listener will start on pole for the race coming up very shortly. Damon Fisher, Andrew Rushworth, Craig Schulz, James Hardy second in the Trophy Cup class. In 14th, Jim Capronis, Dave Dedell, and Abel Verban third in the Trophy Cup class. Ernie Toth, Rick Viger, and Nick Geary rounding out our top 20 in that race. Looking a little further afield, we have Jamie McKnight in 21st, and it's Troy Stonestreet, Mick Clifton, Jason Dunn, Craig Rose, and Troy Sipple, Ash Hall, Vince Salvatore, and Andrew Hoffman. Scott Perrins, last car inside the 30. David Logsdale, and then Brad Grant finishing, unfortunately, a lap down after that popped motor. The safety car never did come back out again to give him a chance at getting that lap back. And obviously Simon Haynes was our safety car driver in that one. So what a race that was. What a way to start off this evening. That's only 15 laps as well. So now we get to do twice the distance with 2 compulsory pit stops thrown in there.
It's going to be exciting. Nothing beats a race with a little bit of strategy thrown in. I feel like this is a great opportunity, though, to tell a little story that is not only good for a chuckle, but is also something super important to think about at Montreal. I don't know if you've ever noticed, Isaac, but every 80HC car has a little message underneath the rear wing, and one of our GT3 cars had the message under there that said, "Danny, please brake." That actually comes from a different league that we run in, and it comes from Montreal. I don't know whether anyone's noticed, but the pit exit, the pit entry at Montreal is right on the race line into the wall of champions, and you've actually got to slow it up. If you're taking the corner, you're obviously hard on the brakes, but you're actually hard on the brakes in the pit entry. If you're going into pits, you can absolutely hold it full song because you don't turn, you just go straight ahead into the pit lane. and we saw a huge incident here in a GT3 race that ADHD was a part of, where the person entering the pit lane was pretty focused on making sure that they were, set up for their pits and that they were changing tyres and doing all those sorts of things, and didn't think about the fact that Ryan Palmer would be about to jam the brake on, and Ryan Palmer got sent for an absolute ride across the ripple strip and into the outside wall, absolutely destroying a Ford Mustang GT3 car. Would not be at all surprised to see a similar thing tonight. So, first of all, always fun to laugh at Ryan Palmer's about his misfortune, and I'm sure that he will be starting to get little cold sweats at the thought of having people behind him pitting tonight. But importantly, we've seen so much drama already here tonight, Isaac, at all these different questions, and now we're throwing in the complexity of a race. Every single car here tonight, we've got, how many do we have here? We've got nearly 30, I think, all doing pit stops, so 60 times tonight, roughly. There's going to be a car diving for the pit lane in a part of the track where they don't have to brake, but everyone else is going to be. If people aren't paying a lot of attention, it gets really ugly really quickly.
Absolutely, and we'll be keeping an eye on that as Ryan Palmer graces us with his presence in the chat. And a very good evening to Mr. Palmer. Well done on the first race. I'm actually going to be nice to you, Ryan, because I think you did a great job in the first race. But a big hello once again to everybody that is watching along. We appreciate your company this evening, and we've got Matty Morgan in there, Ray Douglas as well, Tim Lawson. Matty Morgan saying that it's a blood moon tonight, so that's definitely going to spice things up, and I think that's why we've seen a couple safety cars. Ryan Palmer saying, I want Jared back. Well, unfortunately, Jared is not here this evening, and you're stuck with us instead. And you know how much we support you, Ryan. We love what you do, and looking forward to seeing what you can do in this second race that's coming up very shortly. And speaking of, we are not too far away from being able to bring you the grid for that race as well. The warm-up is just finishing up now, and I think we will be able to bring you what that grid looks like very, very shortly. And glad to see that Ryan Palmer's doing a lot of prep for this evening and checking in just to make sure that everything's going well on the stream side. And here we go. We are able to bring you the grid now, and it is Andrew Listner that will line up on pole position for Southern Cross Racing, with Jason Douglas for JMR in second. On the front row with him, Phil Menton. Mark Poynton will start on the second row of the grid, with Luke Allman and Stephen Wagner on row number 3. Ryan Palmer and Matt Vanderkraan share the fourth row of the grid, with Wayne Walker and Brian Borg rounding out that top 10. Looking outside our top 10, they will be as they finish in race 1, with Damon Fisher and Andrew Rushworth 11th and 12th, Craig Schultz, James Hardy on row number 7, Jim Capronis and Dave Dell row number 8, Abel Verban, Ernie Toth row number 9, and Rick Vigar and Nick Geary rounding out that top 10. And then it's Jamie McKnight and Troy Stonestreet, row number 11, Mick Clifton, Jason Dunn, row number 12, Craig Rose and Troy Sipple, row number 13, Ash Hall, Vince Salvatore, row 14, Andrew Hoffman and Scott Perrins rounding out the top 30. And then that's David Logsdale and Brad Grant in 31st. And here we go. It is time for the race start. Lights are coming up, and we have 30 laps ahead of us in race number 2 for the evening. The lights are out, and we are away, and it is a great start for Jason Douglas, who's actually got off the line very, very well. And we will have a look. Everyone seems to have gotten away to a fairly good start here. And now, as they run through turn 1 and 2, Jason Douglas has disappeared in the distance. Everyone's trying to sort themselves out through turn 1. There was a little bit of a car park there. Seems that everyone's gotten going. Jason Dunn and Brad Grant with black flags. I believe that will be for jumping the start. Ryan Palmer side by side with, I believe, that was Phil Manuel, and that is now being sorted out. Huge crash in the background. We will try and find out what is going on. Oh, look at that. Look at that massive incident between all these drivers, and there's an absolute car park further back in the field. I will not be surprised if we don't get a safety car here, and we're watching Simon Haynes to see if he's going to come out on circuit. We'll get a replay of that very soon as we turn our attention back to the front of the field, keeping an eye on Simon Haynes to see if he does come out onto the onto the circuit here.
Safety car is out on the track.
Safety car is out on the track. And I was trying to pick up Simon Haynes. It is Simon Haynes that has come out on the track. So we do have a safety car, which means we can also go back and have a look at what exactly has happened here. We'll start with Scott Perrins, as he was the first car that was involved in this incident. And they're all just a little bit slow at a slight crawl, and it's happened in front. So a couple cars are checked up in front. One of the Quantum cars, 266 sim racing car, and then Scott Perrins, a passenger nowhere to go. Vince Salvatore also caught up in that. Craig Rose as well. Here's Vince Salvatore, and just can see in front, I think that's Troy Sipple actually. It's come together with someone, and massive hit. And another car spun. I think that's Craig Rose that spun in the foreground. Ash Hall. Have a look here what might have happened. So trying to dissect exactly what this incident was.
It's the car on the outside. It's the fishy, the Angry Birds car.
The 266 car. Trying to work out who that might be. We'll have to do a little bit more research to work out what exactly that car was that was caught up in that. As I look down my order, I believe it was Ernie Toth actually. So I go back to where Ernie Toth went off track. We'll have a look. Here he is, Ernie Toth. So there's a little bit of push and shove going on at turn 2 as everybody sort of checks up a little bit. Then he's in to contact with Rick Vigar, who turns him across into the wall, and then he's on the grass, and yeah, there you go. It's on the grass, and just lost control of the car and came across the track because he wasn't able to catch it on cold tyres, and unfortunately there's been heavy contact with multiple cars, and that is a huge incident. That's 2 race starts, 2 massive incidents within the first couple corners.
Yeah, absolutely, and I did hear on the race control channel too, car 505, Damon Fisher, he has reported someone into him on the way into turn 1 as well. So there was a bit of anger mid-pack. I also noticed Ryan Palmer sitting down in 11th. I'm not sure what happened there because he seemed to have a pretty good start. So there might have been something going on while that really significant incident was going on in the background. There might have been some more minor stuff happening up the front. Looks like the safety car has pulled away. The Chubby Buns safety car is getting an absolute move on to see where it can get to. That does leave Jace Douglas in control of the field, and it will be interesting to see how he manages this. Fantastic race start for Jace Douglas. Not sure exactly who it was, whether it was Poynton or Listener on the other side of the front row, but Jace Douglas got by far the best start out of the front too.
Yes, Jason Douglas did absolutely jump off the line. Actually, Listener still in second place, but he's got Brian Borg right behind him now. So that's it's going to be a lot of pressure for the Trophy Cup driver to soak up, and there is a certain period at turn 13, the first phase of this final chicane, where they are allowed to go. So we'll watch for where he might decide to find the accelerator. And there we go. As he comes into the corner, he has found the accelerator. We are back under green flag once again. And a car diving into the pit lane. That's Jamie McKnight, has dived into the pits to serve the first of his 2 pit stops. So that's an interesting strategy call, but he's gone for an early stop here. There's a couple other cars. Brad Grant also jumping out of the queue to go for his pit stop now. And we are once again on a green flag. Wayne Walker's down to 13th off the start, and Matt Vanderkraan down to 11th. So it seems that been a couple of drivers inside that top 10 that have had something happen early on in this race and have dropped a couple of spots, or more than a couple of spots really. Phil Manuel, Andrew Rushworth serving slow down penalties, and Jason Douglas has really disappeared into the distance off this race start. Brian Borg putting a lot of pressure on Andrew Listener as we start to try and find some green flag running. Brian Borg is getting all over the back of Andrew Listener, goes up the inside actually and has that spot done before they even get to the chicane here. And that is sorted already. Look at them get up on 2 wheels. Isn't that just a lovely shot of these cars as they throw it across the curb? And now Brian Borg can set after Jason Douglas, who's already a second and a half up the road. That is a big gap that he's already built on 1 lap of green flag running, and just goes to show the pace that he's trying to extract from this car early on.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job out the front. He's making the most of the opportunity that has been handed to him for a pretty rough time in qualifying. I'm not sure necessarily what happened in qualifying to see him that far down the back, but it was a representative of his pace. He's got a really good opportunity now to absolutely bolt, although he does have one Brian Borg behind him now, who has for the entire night been absolutely the fastest car on track. It's going to be interesting to see how long Jace can keep that My Mustang Mods Mustang in his rear vision mirror. As we do see now, Ryan Palmer and Matt Vanderkraan having a bit of an argument over the same piece of asphalt, and you know, interesting to see. I made comment. Ryan lost a couple of positions off the start. Mark Poynton's down as well. I noticed he was well and truly out the front after the first couple of corners. We'll have to see if we can work out throughout the race what actually happened up the front there. But these guys will be getting stuck into it. I know that Ryan always enjoys a race with Matt Vanderkraan. Matt is incredibly fast in these cars, but he's incredibly good to race against. It's always a lot of fun. He will be relishing this opportunity to see how long he can keep that Angry Birds car behind him. And as we see here, Brian Borg has already closed the gap all the way up to the back of Jace Douglas. There is no point in spending too much time looking at your timing tower to see exactly how big this gap is. It is absolutely measurable by eye, and it's really going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. See whether Jace has the nerve to get this done, and you know, just keep this car pointing in the right direction, and you know, not get himself too flustered and, you know, make any unforced errors, and just see how long you can keep this Mustang behind him, because every lap that he does manage to hold him out, it is a lap closer to the end, and you know, it makes Borg more and more frustrated that he's not passed. So the challenge here for Jace Douglas is making sure that Borg's the first one to make a mistake.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He wants to put all the pressure on Brian Borg. Well, sorry, Brian Borg wants to put all the pressure on Jason Douglas at the moment. This is the battle for the lead of the race. I noticed Wayne Walker also putting a lot of pressure on the back of Stephen Vargas. So it's all happening up and down the field at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. With the pressure that multiple drivers are applying, they've been sort of caught out of position in this race early on. And as a result, there's a couple of drivers that are trying to fight their way through this field. Matt Vanderkraan, Ryan Palmer, Ryan Walker, two of those drivers. And here we go. This is Brian Borg setting himself up for a move into the hairpin, pulls to the inside, heavy under brakes, room afforded by Jason Douglas. And you have to think this is pretty much position done now for Brian Borg. He's going to get a drive off the corner, but it was actually a really nice second phase of the acceleration off the corner for Jace Douglas. He's going to have the side draft as they run down the back straight now towards the final chicane. They want to sort this out before they get there. They do not want to be side by side into the final chicane. Under braking now. Which way is this going to go? And it will go the way of Brian Borg. He has the inside for the first phase, and that is sorted now up into the lead of the race. I don't know if it's quite done yet. I say it's sorted, but Jace Douglas is sizing him up for a move on the run in towards turn one. Under braking though, Brian Borg has him covered and will hold on. Oh, there's a little bit of front to rear contact there, pushing him through the corner. Jace Douglas giving him the hurry up, but that is the lead of the race now for Brian Borg as he looks to secure back-to-back race wins here this evening, and he's put himself in a really good position to do that as he moves up a spot. Wayne Walker still trying to find a way past Stephen Varga in 11th and 12th place at the moment. Ryan Palmer also continuing to defend, or actually pull away from, I should say, Matt Vanderkraan. That gap's almost out to a second. Luke Allman and Mark Poynton caught in a battle here. Was Troy Stone Street, who's up into 6th place. That is 16 spots for Troy Stone Street that he's already gained.
Bourbon in front, up 12. Craig Schultz up 9. We've been talking all night about the fact that something happened that we missed on that first lap, and I was just looking up and down my my little results screen before, just looking for the stories of the race so far, and I absolutely found it when I spotted the cars in 4th, 5th and 6th up 9th, 9, 12 and 16 positions respectively. There's a story here somewhere, Isaac. These guys have, all the credit to them. You've got to keep the car straight and facing forward when these opportunities present themselves, but something has happened. A door has opened. These guys have done a fantastic job, and can I just say, Jace Douglas, fantastic job on that pass. I was really nervous with him on the outside coming into the Wall of Champions there, that he was going to cost himself a bunch of time and end up really losing time by putting himself in a poor position, fighting for that position for too long. But he did a fantastic job of wrestling that car back and tucked it in behind Borg as fast as he could, and he had it cracked for as long as he could. But we can see now Borg has already pulled a pretty sizable lead, but a really nice display of driving that we got to see there. We do now, of course, though, see ourselves focusing on the back end of the top 10 with this gaggle of cars that basically runs all the way from Schultz in 4th through to Fisher in 13th. Nothing more than a second between any of these cars, so they might not be, scrapping for position every single corner, but gee, that's a solid train of cars, and it doesn't take much for this to turn into a pretty big battle pack.
No, not at all, and we can see just how close all these guys are on the screen. I think I've solved the mystery for you all at home, and it is, if you turn your attention to the screen, you'll see the number of stops, the pit stops in this race drivers have completed, and the top 6 drivers yet to complete a pit stop in this race, which explains why there may be drivers that are out of place, because that lap 1 safety car meant that pretty much the entire field has dived in for a pit stop, except for those first 6 drivers. So Brian Borg may lead this race. He also has the fastest lap of the race to his name at the moment, but he has to serve 2 pit stops, and if we don't get another safety car from here, that's going to be a difficult ask for him to then stay at the front of this field, whereas someone like Mark Poynton, theoretically, once everyone comes in to serve their stops, he's in the lead of this race. He is at the front of this field, will be inheriting the race lead, provided he can hold on from Luke Allman. But your current provisional top 3 is Mark Poynton, Luke Allman and Ryan Palmer, Matt Vanderkraan in 4th and Wayne Walker in 6th. So it does look not great at the moment, considering they are 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th on the road. But once everyone does serve their pit stops in front, they'll inherit a couple of positions. So it does tell a little bit of the story as to what's happened there.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed that. That is absolutely that's amateur hour from me. And of course, we were so interested in that absolutely enormous lap 1 crash that we just didn't even see the cars cycling through the pit lane. But of course, it does make sense. Typically here at ASR, one of the things that's quite interesting is they really give you opportunity to open up your strategy. So having raced in this series, most of these 2 CPS races, you can get through on 1 stop, on your fuel load. The need for a second stop is really all about strategy, and so we see there a bunch of cars took that opportunity on lap 1. They would have come in. Most of them, I would expect, would have just done tyres, maybe a very small splash of fuel, and immediately hit the road again. So they managed to hold as much of their track position as possible. I do expect that on their second stop that they're all going to be in for a little bit longer and need to take additional fuel. But as you said, Borg, Douglas, Listener, who are all way up the road, they've still got to do 2 stops. So, they've got to bolt now as fast as they can. And people like Schultz and Verben and even Stone Street, within reason, they're in the battle pack with the guys who have already done a stop. So they're really going to struggle when that second stop has to happen. And of course, if we do get a safety car at the right time, everyone's going to dive into pits and we'll restack the field, and half, or more than half the field will have done their second CPS.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we can see there's a little bit going on here. Ryan Palmer's carried a lot of speed into this hairpin, and
that's a wild move.
He's gone around the outside of Luke Allman, and I don't know how you could do that in a hairpin like that, but Ryan Palmer is very well known for his unconventional overtakes, and he certainly nailed that brief here in this race with that overtake around the outside. Oh, we've got cars diving into the pit lane now, so Listener and Verban into the lane for their stops. And we can see they are trying to, this will promote these guys up a little bit further. Troy Stone Street still as well, but Ryan Palmer into second place on the road. Now Stephen Vargas lost a spot to Wayne Walker. Finally, Wayne Walker was working really hard for that one and has finally managed to get that overtake. I'm really interested to see where Listener and Verban drop out here, because remember, Listener was on the front row of the grid, so electing not to come in when everyone else did is really going to cost him here. He's still in the pit lane at pit exit now, so he's starting to head back out, but this is going to drop him right down well into the top, or the bottom 20 or the 20s, and 23rd is where he does eventually come back out in front of Ash Hall. I'm trying to find him. There he is. And here he is on the road. So that is, for the men that started on the front row of the grid, that is a massive loss in terms of positional gain. Jason Douglas now into the pits as well. Actually, Jason Douglas says he's out, so there could be a connection issue for Jason Douglas there, and if that's not resolved, that will be it. He's had a couple connection issues the last few rounds, and that is super disappointing. He was sitting in second place in this race, and it looks like that's not going to get resolved, unfortunately, for Jason Douglas. So he's out of this race now, which is heartbreaking stuff. And connection issues, he's had that a couple times this season. They continue to plague him.
Yeah, that's super disappointing for Jace Douglas. Was having a really good showing tonight, and yeah, if this is where it's all over,
Ryan Palmer's in.
That's a huge shame. Yeah, Ryan Palmer, never ever afraid of the undercut. He would, I suggest, be sick of looking at the back of Poynton's car, and he thinks that an undercut is going to move him forward. I don't know whether you caught it, Isaac, but just behind Palmer on the last lap as we came through there's actually an incident in the Wall of Champions. Car 039 is face first into the Wall of Champions, which is not where you want to be. Looks like he's going to get... Dear, oh dear.
There we go. Dave Diddell has parked in the wall there, and he's finally got spun around and going again, so we should avoid a safety car, but we'll see if we can get a replay that, because that looked very, very messy. And I'm trying to get here we go. Luke Allman also says listed as having a crash. Dave Diddell, here it is. Let's have a look at what happened to the 039 driver, and side by side with that's Rick Weigart. And just a touch up from Rick Weigart coming the chicane, and bang, heavy contact into the Wall of Champions. So side by side through the chicane is never going to end well for either of them. And as everyone got through, backs it up. That's a very dangerous spot to stop, and everyone's had to try and navigate their way through contact with that. Looks like Luke Allman potentially that he's made contact. I
think that was Diddell, actually.
Diddell.
No, Diddell is the one
on the screen.
You are right.
He's made contact with someone, one of the other 266 cars. He's got it going again, though. But, yeah, wow, that is, super unfortunate, and got stuck in an odd spot and then tried to get out of it. But, again, was just stuck in a weird position where he was in the middle of the road. And that was, unfortunately very messy for Dave Diddell and a handful of other drivers. Craig Schulz is now into the lanes. So only Brian Borg and Troy Stone Street left to take their first stop of the race. I'm just looking where Ryan Palmer has come back out. It says Luke Allman had an incident. I'm just trying to see if he did come into the pit lane. As it all evens out, he did come into the pits. So Ryan Palmer got a slowdown penalty and lose a spot to Vince Salvatore. He's down in 19th place at the moment, Ryan Palmer, and the first of the cars to serve 2 stops. So he is the first of the cars to serve 2 stops. Technically, Jim Capronis has also served 2 stops, which he did on lap 1. but I'd say he'll have to serve another one before the end of this race. We are 12 laps in, and it is Brian Borg that leads the way in this fairly comfortably, 13 seconds back to Troy Stone Street. I think Brian Borg's trying to give himself a pit stop's worth of advantage here and just try and build as big a gap as possible.
Yeah, he would know that he's, probably had a misstep on his strategy as he does now dive for the pits. We will see where he comes out. Oh, big lock up there. I wonder whether he got it down to speed on time, but you can see how fast that run into the pit lane is. Ryan Palmer was in a pretty fierce battle with Jamie McKnight when he came out of the pit lane, and that obviously tossed him a slowdown. We certainly saw in our timing tower that they were banging doors, and then Palmer ended up with a slowdown. You would expect Borg to come out a decent way in front of Palmer, but of course he's still going to be one pit stop behind, so it will be interesting. There he comes down the exit now, and he rejoins the track.
James Hardy.
Back in 8th spot. And if we just look back, I'll try and do some math. It's not my strong point. But, Ryan Palmer,
as if on cue, goes for an overtake on Andrew Listener and got very close there to the back of Jamie McKnight. So the driver you mentioned he was battling with when he came out of the pits, Jamie McKnight, is trying to find a way past the Fishy Motorsports driver at the moment, pushing really, really hard to get around him. He's, I think, a little bit, I don't want to use the word impatient, but Ryan Palmer served both his pit stops. He doesn't want to spend too much time. He goes up the inside now, very aggressive move under brakes, pushes him a little bit wide. They're still side by side in the second phase of the corner. Ryan Palmer drives around the outside. He's got it loose. He's done well to catch it. That's the second time this evening we've seen Ryan Palmer get very loose on the exit of a corner while trying to get the power down, and he's done well to catch that. But again, we'll have to fall in behind Jamie McKnight. He doesn't want this. This is the last thing that he needs as the driver that is the first of the ones to serve 2 pit stops. He wants to be in clear air, be able to just run his own pace, set his own lap times. He's going to have to go the long way around as McKnight goes defensive into the hairpin. He's still there trying to hold around the outside. Does he get the drive off the corner? He has once again. It seems to be the ideal line for Ryan Palmer is the long way around. He hasn't quite got the straight line speed in that Camaro, the same as the Mustang, though. He's doing everything he can to stay with him. They're side by side in the draft, down towards the final chicane. They'll sort this out under brakes. Ryan Palmer's overshot it very aggressively. He's going into the pit lane again. This is pit stop number 3 for Ryan Palmer. I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, but he's dived into the lane. Maybe he's gone late on the brakes and overcooked it. Is he going to drive straight through here potentially? And it's given himself a sort of accidentally forced drive through, because that does not look purposeful. Now he's dived in the pit box. I'm unsure of what's happening here for Ryan Palmer and what's causing him to dive into the lane.
Yeah, that's odd. I'm not sure whether the original one that he served a couple laps ago was maybe a drive-through. I haven't heard of a drive-through for car 80, but you never know. And maybe Ryan realised that he'd done something like underfuel himself and wasn't going to make it, and thought that he would take his medicine. Now I don't know, but he will not be happy about the fact that he's in the pit lane for a 3rd time.
No, absolutely not. We'll not be happy about that at all. Now Mark Poynton and Wayne Walker are battling away for the lead of this race. We're also looking at this battle for the last spot on the podium. Wayne Walker and Mark Poynton at the front of the field. Then it's Stephen Varga, Damon Fisher, Brian Borg up into 5th now, but still yet to serve one more pit stop in this race. Damon Fisher right on the back of Stephen Varga. Going to have to go the long way around into turn 1 though. There's a little bit of a show of the brakes. He had to back out of it, and he won't get alongside into turn 1 and 2 here. He'll have to try and set himself up on the exit here, but this is just a very difficult section of racetrack to get an overtake done. Andrew Hoffman's in the lane for his 2nd pit stop of the race, and where he will come out, we'll keep a very close eye on. And just looking here at what is left to happen for a lot of these drivers who has served their 2nd pit stop. We can actually get the numbers up on the screen. That way I don't have to also change my screen to go and look at other things. But here we go. So Luke Allman's actually the first driver that has served 2 stops in this race. Phil Manuel, sorry, is the next driver who'll serve 2 stops. So 18th place is the first car to have done 2 stops. It'll be interesting to see where all these drivers on the circuit at the moment come out in comparison to Luke Allman.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Palmer's not in a bad spot for having done 3 stops, but one thing that we're starting to see now, we have hit the midway point of this race, and you can see there on the timing tower lots and lots of cars starting to find their own little piece of track. These drivers will be settling into a bit of a rhythm and just trying to get the best laps that they can, as we do see 2 cars go diving into pit lane. Oh, excuse me.
Jason Dunn, what's happened to this man here? He's lost his front bar, so it says he's gone off track. Brian Borg's also crashed, so Brian Borg has continued on. We'll see if we can see what happened to Brian Borg as he comes down towards the hairpin. I think it might just be an aggressive stop. It is. He's carried a lot of speed, almost locked it inside front on the run into the hairpin, and it's noticed that he's crashed because of the way that he's stopped, but again, he hasn't actually made contact with anyone. He's done very well to avoid contact, actually. And this is Jason Dunn. Already lost his front bar by this point, so we'll keep a close eye on what happened. This is Ryan Palmer inside. Oh, contact with Palmer. And that has spun Jason Dunn, and I'm sure that'll be something the Shields will have a look at as maybe potentially an incident towards Ryan Palmer, who's just had to push on because he doesn't really have much of a choice at this stage. Damon Fisher inherits the lead of the race from Brian Borg. And whereas Wayne Walker is back out on track now, battling with Rick Vigard. He's got Craig Schulz right behind him as well at the inside for Wayne Walker. Gets that move done. Is Craig Schulz going to try and follow me? Rick Vigard is going very slowly on the exit. These guys all checked up. Mark Poynton's now going to go past Craig Schulz and Rick Vigard. Craig Schulz will want to follow these guys through a little bit of side to side with Vigard and Poynton as they sort that out through into the chicane. Craig Schulz going to go to the outside. This will set him up into the hairpin. Mike Walker out in front. That is the effective race lead for the defending champion. Up the inside now, heavy under brakes for Craig Schulz into the hairpin. He should get this done here potentially. Rick Vigard's going to try and stay with him. They will actually stay side by side onto the back straight now, and it's actually not as effective, the inside line through that hairpin, as what you might expect it to be, especially if you can get the drive off the corner. They'll stay side by side on the run down towards the final chicane. They'll have to sort this out. You do not want to go side by side through here. Rick Vigard's already done that once this evening. He's actually going to continue straight on and head into the pit lane, so he'll serve his second stop of the evening and get that out of the way. But Wayne Walker is in the box seat. You have to feel now potentially for the race win this evening. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him, but he does look like he could be in control of this field, given that he has served both stops, and everyone in front of him is yet to serve another stop.
Yes, and you know, this is showing as potentially a bit of a mistake for Brian Borg staying out on that initial safety car. We look at Wayne Walker sitting some 19 seconds off the lead. Obviously, Borg's going to take more than 19 seconds to transit the pit lane, and look, we might as well call Borg in the lead. He's in the lead now as he executes a very authoritative pass into the hairpin.
And we've got that done, hasn't he? It's the lovely overtake for Brian Borg, and I think Damon Fisher wants to try and make a point of it, not quite be done with it just yet. But unfortunately for Damon Fisher, that pretty much is case in point, and will be the lead of the race for Brian Borg. We're on lap 17, so we're over halfway now. We've got 13 laps to go in this race when they do cross the line. We've just had just over half an hour of racing so far, so still plenty of action to come your way this evening. We welcome everybody that is tuning in to Super Racing broadcasts and watching along with round 9. We have 2 rounds remaining in the championship, including this one, so 1 round next week at Adelaide, and that will be the championship finale. Very much looking forward to that one. Mick Clifton in the pits as well, and I, of course, in the booth this evening. We have myself and Josh Harris. We will be joining you in the booth not only this week but next week as well for the season finale, which I'm really looking forward to seeing Supercars at Adelaide. That is an iconic venue for these cars and a great way to finish this season. But we still do have have a race left to resolve tonight. It does seem fairly spread out in this field at the moment. Just trying to see if there is any real battles happening on circuit. Dave Dell did have Vince Salvatore for company, I thought, but he's disappeared. Scott Perrins actually
Safety car has been called.
Safety car has been called.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Jump in there.
There was an incident about a lap ago with Vince Salvatore and another car. I didn't catch who it was, but it looks like that other car has had to request a tow, and that, of course, puts us under the safety car. There it is. Vince going slightly slower. Now that may be after the incident.
Afterwards, here we go. Let's have a look. Andrew Hoffman here. Potentially, this could explain what might have happened. I'll spin for Hoffman, massive hit into the wall, but it looks like there's damage on that car already. There's Vince Salvatore. That's already happened. Let's have a look up here potentially. So that's after the incident. Here we go. Oh, that's a strange spot to pull across, but again, looks like there's... and the edge made secondary contact with Hoffman in that and spun him. So here we go. This is looking at Hoffman's car. Comes through on Salvatore and Vince spins it on the exit. So he's just tried to gas it up and spun it. And as a result, that's Ryan Palmer going through, just getting away without hitting Hoffman. And then that's heavily wounded both cars, who already looked like they had damage, a little bit of damage to them. So that is a strange one, but that is that's going to open up the strategy. That's going to close the field right up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And all of a sudden, we're going to see Borg given the opportunity to take a pit stop and potentially not be too hard done by. It all just depends on where he was on the track. Absolutely. And, of course, the ideal opportunity is that you get that pit stop done and don't lose a huge amount of time.
Yeah, well, he hasn't lost a lot of time. He's actually served his second pit stop. He's out in third place now. So this will be the remainder of the pit stop served for multiple drivers up and down the field. And we'll get a really good understanding of where everybody's going to sit.
Hearing reports that pit exit's blocked.
Pit exit is blocked. Just trying to see. Have we got Damon Fisher has crashed? Let's have a look. That's what might be happening here, potentially. That looks like it's after pit exit, so not sure. Vince Salvatore maybe has stopped. He stopped on the pit exit, so I'm not entirely sure what has happened there. Why we have cars that have... That was interesting indeed. That's a strange one. A peculiar incident. I can't get the word out. Damon Fisher's driven forward and then stopped once again on track. So it's, I don't really know how to explain what exactly has happened there. That's very much a strange one. Has affected quite a number of drivers up and down this field. Ryan Palmer's come in for pit stop number 4, which puts him down in 17th place. So Ryan Palmer's going for the how many pit stops can I do in a race strategy, I think, by the looks of it.
We'll have to see how that goes for him.
Can he get inside? The question is, can he get inside the top 10? He's definitely got the pace in that car to do it, but I believe he also was one of those cars that may have been caught up in whatever was happening at pit exit there, which did cost him a bit of time. And we might have a few cars trying to get their lap back here. One of them won't be Vince Salvatore, but Logsdale, Toth and Dunn, and Jace Douglas, if he's back out there, which it does appear that he is. Trying to look. No, he isn't. So Jace Douglas is not back out there, but we should get a couple cars trying to get their laps back here at some point to get back on the lead lap. And once we go green, we will have about 10 laps of racing left with pretty much every single car out there on a relatively fresh set of boots. Cars came in on lap 15. Luke Allman, the oldest set of tyres out there, pitted on lap 10.
Yeah, it's a brave strategy to go from lap 10 to lap 30, but we will see how he goes. Of course, far less of a concern if you are if you're running under green. Now that the field is bunched, it could prove to be significantly more troublesome.
Yeah, definitely could prove to be look, a little bit of a headache for Luke Allman, but honestly, I think he's in a pretty strong position. We know what he's like behind the wheel. He will not be one that will just sort of lie down and let everybody else take it. So he will be very interested, watch with great interest to see how he goes here. James Hardy's actually the current driver leading the Trophy Cup class. He's in 7th place, and then Troy Sipple up in 11th spot. We'll have a look, take a moment now to just have a look at what everybody has gained across this race so far. 8 spots for Wayne Walker, 7 for Brian Walk, 14 spots for Troy Stone Street, 15 spots for Troy Sipple. So the Team Troy doing very good this evening, up a handful of spots. The two biggest movers in this race. 10 spots for Mick Clifton and 10 spots for Brad Grant. Andrew Rushworth's lost 13 spots in this race. Andrew Listener has lost 15, and see cars just continuing to unlap themselves. But it's been a little bit of an up and down race. There's been a couple really good or really nice stories of cars moving forward through the field, but it's also been a couple of hard luck stories for a few drivers, Andrew Listener included. After starting on the front row, he just hasn't quite been able to capitalise and bounce back through the field after he just elected to stay out. And I think it was a risky call during that first safety car to stay out, and unfortunately it didn't pay off the way I think he would wanted it to.
Yeah, look, absolutely. But that's one of the challenges that we face in this world of sim racing, because we don't have a team of strategists and data engineers and all of those other things that exist in the real world. We're trying to run our race strategy while driving, and sometimes you get it just right, and sometimes unfortunately you get it just wrong. We have seen cars unlap themselves this lap. I thought that we would have seen safety car in. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen unless the safety car is departing late. We will see what happens. Of course, the drivers who have been set free to unlap themselves, they will be very happy if the safety car goes another lap, because that means that they get their entire lap back, not just one half of it. We do see the train just continue to chug around at 80 k's an hour around this beautiful circuit in Montreal, Canada.
Yes, I think we're going to get another lap under safety car. And that's potentially, I'm just going to have a look here at this Chubby Buns replay of Andrew Rushworth, who says that he has, unfortunately, it says he's crashed, which means that he has stopped suddenly. He did stop. That was just due to the safety car. He just pulled up and had to stop quite aggressively there to not run into the back of anybody. But we can see the Chubby Bun safety car there, driven this evening by Simon Haynes. We do see Todd Martin also take responsibility at times, and Tim Nicol, I believe, as well, is also a frequent driver of the safety car in weeks gone by this season. We thank everybody in race control for their amazing efforts this evening to keep this league running and working the way that it does. It would not happen without them, so we are very grateful to them for giving up their time this evening and helping make sure that this runs as smoothly as possible. We haven't heard too much from race control tonight, actually, in terms of penalties or anything. So there may truly well be some penalties that have come drivers' way. Obviously, we saw that contact with Ryan Palmer earlier, where he spun. I'm trying to remember who it was that he actually spun, but he did make contact with the driver and then move away into the distance. I'm sure that's something race control have looked at, and if there is a penalty, I'm sure we will find out about it as the week goes on. Looking at what is happening, we should get a green flag this time by, so we're not too far away from a race start once again. When they do cross the line, it'll be lap 22, 9 laps to go in this race. It is not a long time for something to happen, but again, it's just long enough that we've seen this evening that absolutely anything can happen on circuit. If anything can happen, anything certainly will happen. Just before we go green, Josh, I'll grab your quick thoughts on who do you think we should look out for on this restart?
Well, this safety car has given one Ryan Palmer the opportunity to grab his phone out of the centre console of his Chevy Camaro and shoot a couple of texts through. So I am aware that look, math isn't Ryan's strong suit. He thought he had an 80-litre tank when he doesn't.
Oh, no.
So that second pit stop that he did was far too early. He has now slapped a fresh set of boots on when a lot of people around him probably haven't. So he's sitting in 17th, and he has shot me a text message that said that his aim is to get back inside the top 10. So we'll see whether in 9 laps he can get through. Outside of that, I guess, is Wayne Walker fast enough to keep Borg and Poynton behind him? Obviously, this season he hasn't been as, in such dominating fashion, but it's going to be interesting to see.
It certainly will be, and we're going to find out in just a few moments' time as Wayne Walker now has control of this field. So keep an eye on the mathematician Ryan Palmer in 17th place and what he can do from there. Can he get himself inside the 10? What can Brian Borg do from 3rd spot on the road with a fairly fresh set of boots? We are green once again. As soon as Wayne Walker decides he wants to plant the foot, he's just keeping it under control for now. He actually hasn't gone quite yet. It's quite early as I thought he would, but now he does go. So he's waited a long time after the final chicane to actually get going once again. And we do have a green flag, and we are underway for the second restart of the race. And Wayne Walker, I don't know, that was an interesting one. We see Ryan Palmer in the background going for an overtake already in this race. So he's trying to get himself up into 16th spot. He does on Craig Shaw, so he's gained a spot already off the restart, and that is crucial for him as he continues to try and move forward. They're running out of time in this race. Only 8 laps to go once they cross the line. This is 9 laps to go, including this one. Wayne Walker maybe not pulling away at the front of the field as much as he would like in the early stages of this restart. A slowdown for Mick Clifton, I'm noticing. This is going to cost him time. He might lose a spot to Jamie McKnight behind. He could also find himself vulnerable to Ryan Palmer and Abel Verban if he's not careful. He's going defensive here on Verban as he runs down into the braking zone of the chicane, and he has to fall in behind. So that is 2 spots lost for Mick Clifton as a result of that slowdown. Ryan Palmer right in behind him. Is this going to be another position lost? Ryan Palmer's going to have to go the long way around there, side by side, into the hairpin. Heavy under braking, a very deep under brakes for the ADHD driver. He's actually done well to pull that up without locking any sort of tyre. He's all over the road as he does go in front of Mick Clifton and gets himself up another spot. So into 15th now for Ryan Palmer. 2 spots gained a lap. If he continues on that trend, he will find himself inside the top 10, but there is a lot of fast drivers in front of him. Wayne Walker has managed to pull away a little bit from Mark Poynton. That gap is now over half a second. Brian Borg is not letting Mark Poynton get away from him even slightly here. He is all over the back of the Southern Cross Racing driver and pushing him the Leapfrog Juiced Racing driver. Sorry, I do apologise to Mark Poynton for getting that wrong, but he's all over the back of him now, the Mustang Mods car, and he is desperate to get past him so he can set after Wayne Walker.
An interesting restart from Wayne Walker, like you touched on there, just waiting quite a long time. I touched on in the first race the fact that you might want to go early, leave as many people as possible in the chicane dealing with it. I wonder whether Wayne Walker was on the phone to his Accelerate Sim Racing mates who were further down the pack, just letting them get nicely through the chicane and setting them up for the best possible opportunity. It is definitely a team strategy to tell your teammates when you're accelerating, and it would not surprise me at all if he tried to set them up for the best success that he could. He has pulled out to a second gap. He'll be happy with that. Wayne Walker is proven time and time again to be very good at managing his race, making sure that he looks after his tyres, and there's no point in bolting to a 3-second lead if you burn the tyres off the car at the same time. And Wayne Walker has traditionally been very good at making sure that he doesn't do that.
Yeah, he's a very seasoned operator in these cars, very measured in everything that he does. And this is Jamie McKnight. He's feeling a little bit of pressure. He's got Rick Varga's actually got a slowdown for cutting that final chicane, so it's going to open the door for both of these guys. Ryan Palmer does want to find a way past Jamie McKnight. There's a little bit of a touch-up between the two of them into turn 1, and they do sort it out. But Ryan Palmer let him know he was there as he went for the overtake. I think that was also a consequence of trying to navigate his way through through and around Rick Vigar. Meatball flag for Nick Geary has come into the pit lane. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of what that might have been. There's not actually coming up on my screen as he's had an incident anywhere, so not entirely sure what that could have been. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of that a little bit later on. But Ryan Palmer up in the 12th spot now ahead of Jamie McKnight, setting after Troy Sipple. Jamie McKnight also up a handful of spots in this restart as well, so the fresh tyres serving both these drivers well at the moment. And Brian Borg is still putting pressure on the back of Mark Poynton, but Mark Poynton is not relenting whatsoever. Look how deep Brian Borg is under brakes into the hairpin, and just there's no sign of blinking from Mark Poynton at the moment. He probably is feeling the pressure, but he just on the outside does not look phased.
No, and make no mistake about the fact that Mark Poynton is fast. He will not be at all worried about Borg behind him. I've watched him, complete a number of these style of races where he's got someone behind him who you may otherwise expect to pass him. I did just happen to see a very pink, very ADHD looking front bumper bar rolling away down the rear straight. Not 100% sure what's happened, but Ryan Palmer doing Ryan Palmer things and finding himself involved in any altercation that he possibly can. This looks to me like Sips on the brakes a little bit early.
Bang.
I would suggest that Ryan just wasn't ready for Sips to get on the brake there, and of course that little bump with the wall dispatches the front bar. Oh no, as we see Stone Street and James Hardy involved in an altercation. They are in the fence, and there goes Ryan Palmer straight into the back. That was one of those involved cars trying to get themselves out of the way, and unfortunately Hardy moving straight in front of Ryan as he came around the corner, and obviously Ryan Palmer limited front grip without a front bar.
That's a huge hit.
This incident has just continued on. There was cars going everywhere there, Isaac.
There was, absolutely. We'll have a look. Ryan Palmer is part of this as well. Comes in, and it's already happened at this point, and just collects James Hardy, who's trying to get out of it. And we'll have a look. James Hardy, here we go. Battling with Troy Stone Street. We're looking for if there is a safety car called at any point here for these guys to get it sorted out. Contact between the two of them, spins Stone Street into the wall. James Hardy then gets stuck, backs the car up to try and get it moving again, and here comes Ryan Palmer, bang, into the side, collects I believe that was Mick Clifton he was battling with at the time as well, into the wall. And then here comes Ash Hall. Watch for Ash Hall on your screen in just a couple moments time as he will roll through, because James Hardy's still sitting there. Where is Ash Hall? He's not too far away. Bang, there he is. Massive contact for Ash Hall, and that is a huge hit.
Yeah, look, I've got to be honest, that was, the positioning, James Hardy there, unfortunately positioning himself twice onto the racing line. So having been involved in that incident, getting going again from off track and just coming straight into that racing line in front of the cars coming through, and then after that initial hit from Ryan backing up and essentially being parked on the racing line, it was a very unfortunate position to get himself. There has not been a call for a safety car at this point, but as you can see, looking at the totem, a number of cars with black flags. As we see there, Borg, second time this race where Borg has found himself just not anticipating how much earlier other drivers need to get on the brakes than he does, and through no wrongdoing of Mark Poynton, he has bought himself nearly 0.8 of a second, which he will be very happy with. That's just a nice little bit of breathing room. Of course, absolutely. Mark Poynton permitted to get on the brakes wherever he wants, and unfortunately for Borg, who just has, we have seen it or not, has an incredible ability to get these cars pulled up from deeper than just about anyone else into the braking zones. But of course, that does mean that other cars sometimes going a little bit slower than he might be expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very, very almost ended in tears for both of them under brakes there. And just to add salt into the wound, Ash Hall and Ryan Palmer both have drive-through penalties now. Ryan Palmer's coming to repair the damage. We'll have to tour pit lane again before this race is over to serve that black flag that he now has to his name. Wayne Walker, 1.9 seconds in front of this little battle group that's happening on our screen at the moment. Luke Allman also putting Stephen Varga under immense amounts of pressure at the moment for fourth spot on the road. A black flag for Phil Manuel, so that could be incident points. I'm just trying to see if he's had an off track in the last couple of corners. He hasn't, so that very well could have come from race control. We'll have to keep an eye on what exactly that penalty is for. Whether it's issued by the game or whether it was issued by race control. Off the road now for Phil Manuel as well. So he's really big spin as well. Makes contact with the wall, trying to serve a slowdown. It's all happening for these drivers at the moment. That black flag has gone away, and so I think that was just a slowdown, a very intense slowdown that he had to serve.
No, I think what that was, I do believe that the black flag given to car 224 was for involving an incident with car 82, and so I think the race control when handing that out may have accidentally allocated that to the incorrect car. Car 224 has received a drive-through penalty for an unsafe rejoin on lap 17, which would have been that incident that we saw essentially setting off the safety car on lap 17 with Vince Salvatore coming back in off the track and collecting another car. Unfortunately, really starting off that chain of events. Vince will be in this lap, no doubt, to serve that penalty, and unfortunately,
there he is.
Phil Manuel having a little incident. Hopefully, it wasn't being distracted by seeing himself getting a black flag and wondering what on earth was going on. But alas, we are where we are. Only 3 to go, 2 after this one, and we see Wayne Walker nicely out in front, but we do throw our attention to the back end of the top 5. A bunch of cars there battling, and we see here the battle for the minors on the podium is looking fantastic. Borg has the...
He's made contact. They've made contact. I was about to comment. He got the drive off the hairpin very nicely, and unfortunately, it looks like a little bit loose. And then contact between Poynton and Borg almost sent Borg into the wall. Almost ended in tears. It's an ADHD car that's inserted himself into this as well, even though he's a lap down. So Brian Palmer wants a piece of the action, even if it's not for position. That was almost in tears for Brian Borg. He's now 3.5 seconds behind Mark Poynton. No doubt he'll feel a little bit hard done by there. That'll be something that's raised with the stewards and had to be looked at, I'm sure. Whether there's anything in that, I'm not entirely convinced, but did almost end in tears. Matt Vanderkran's going to go on the outside, which shows the inside of Luke Allman. Squeezing is Luke Allman on Matt Vanderkran, making him fight for that position, which is nice for Stephen Varga. Great piece of driving between the two of them. Actually, a lovely overtake from Matt Vanderkran. I say actually, we shouldn't be surprised, even in the slightest, that Matt Vanderkran's pulling off overtakes like that, should we? And Stephen Varga has been handed a little bit of breathing room now, 1.3 seconds of it. So Luke Allman and Matt Vanderkran were right behind Stephen Varga when this started, and now as a result, look at the time they are losing in this battle. This is the last spot inside the top 5, and Matt Vanderkran wants every single point he can get. If Wayne Walker is going to win this race, he wants to hold on to every single point he can salvage. Rick Varga all over the back of Troy Sipple, and Phil Manuel also not too far behind for company as well. Let's see what happens here. Up the inside, a locked front for Phil Manuel. I thought he was going to carry that all the way in and make contact. He's gotten away with it, but that'll damage the tyre quite significantly. Here comes Abel Verban as Phil Manuel has to serve the slowdown as well for cutting the corner. And I definitely thought someone was going to get drilled into the back of there. So Phil Manuel's done a wonderful job to actually avoid making contact with anybody, and take my hat off to him. Luke Allman will not be done yet. He is not quite finished with this white flag. Final lap of the race now. Brian Borg, a slowdown penalty, which is going to cost him even more time. He We were resigned to third place on the road, but it's not quite solved yet. Further back in the pack, this is the last spot inside the top 5. Luke Allman doing everything he can to try and sort this out, get himself back up into that spot where Matt Vanderkraan now finds himself, but he's just falling away a little bit. Rick Weiger putting pressure on the back of Sips. Troy Sipple on your screen for, this is lead of the Cup Trophy, the Trophy Cup class, I should say, and 9th spot. So 2 Cup Trophy drivers inside the top 10. This is your podium for the Cup Trophy, the Trophy Cup, and 9th, 10th, and 11th. Sipple, Weiger, and Verban all up a handful of spots in this race. Sipple up 17 spots. McKnight in front of these guys up 13 spots at the end of this one. But Wayne Walker has really just taken control of this race, hasn't he? From the start. Couldn't quite get the job done in race number 1. That one went to Brian Borg. But Wayne Walker has really been in control of this this race ever since that safety car. He nailed the strategy, didn't he? And Rick Weiger putting pressure on. We'll stay with this one as long as we possibly can. We're keeping an eye on where our race leader is, and when he comes across the start-finish line into the braking zone. Does Rick Weiger have a think about a move here? He thought about it under brakes, but couldn't quite get it done. But Wayne Walker is going to come across the line to win race 2 this evening, cement his championship charge. Mark Poynton and Ryan Palmer are going to go side by side. Not that it means a cold deal to Ryan Palmer, who'll finish a lap down. Brian Borg will finish second, and Stephen Varga, Matt Vanderkraan, and Luke Allman. What is happening? We'll try and find out, if we can, what is going on here into the final chicane. Rick Weiger threw everything at him, but Troy Sipple will hold on for the trophy class win here in 9th place, and then 10th place for Rick Weiger. Verban in 11th, Phil Manuel, Damon Fisher, and Andrew Lissner comes back to 14th in the end. Andrew Rushworth, Craig Schulz, Dave Diddell across the line. It's close to the end between, I think that was Diddell Perrins. Trying to work out who that was behind him. Brad Grant comes across the line. And we're still waiting on a few cars to come across the start-finish line. But what a finish to that race for the back end of the top 10. Rick Weiger threw everything at Troy Sipple to try and get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big news story that's going to come out of this, Brian Borg, as you alluded to, immediately reported that bump that he had with Mark Poynton and asked the stewards to have a look at it. I was watching really closely the gap between Borg and Poynton, and when Borg got that slowdown, it put him to nearly 6 seconds behind Poynton, and he managed to fight all the way back to, and this is where, so I have just had the news in my headset. This is the point I was making. Brian Borg was 6 seconds behind at the start of the last lap, and he fought all the way back. And as he crossed the line, I'm not sure whether it was with Poynton wrestling with Ryan Palmer, but Borg crossed the line 4.8 seconds behind Mark Poynton, and it has just been announced that Mark Poynton received a 5-second post-race penalty for the bump that he put on Borg on the way out of the hairpin on lap 28. So those couple of tenths of a second ended up being all important.
They absolutely did, and I think we'll have the pleasure of speaking to both these gentlemen, getting their thoughts very, very soon. But Wayne Walker, as you can see here, we have a look at our full race results. Wayne Walker takes the win, almost 3 seconds back to Mark Poynton, who you said was about less than a 5-second gap between himself and Brian Borg, so that should be a positional change with that 5-second penalty being applied. And means that Brian Borg will finish in second, Mark Poynton third, then Stephen Varga, Matt Vanderkraan in fifth place in the top 5 in the end. Luke Allman, Jim Capronis, Jamie McKnight, Troy Sipple and Rick Weiger round out your top 10. A great drive for Sips tonight, finishing in the lead of the trophy class. Abel Verban just outside the top 10. Phil Manuel, Damon Fisher, Andrew Lissner, Andrew Rushworth, Craig Schulz, Dave Diddell, Scott Perrins, Craig Rhodes and Ernie Toth rounds out your top 20. And looking a little further afield, we have Vince Salvatore, James Hardy, Mick Clifton and Ash Hall were the last of the drivers to finish on the lead lap. Ryan Palmer, you saw him going side by side with Mark Poynton right at the end there across the finish line. David Logsdale, Jason Dunn, Andrew Hoffman, Brad Grant 3 laps down in the end. Troy Stonestreet 6 laps down. Then Nick Geary 13 laps down, so I don't know if he will be classified in this race. Jason Douglas had the disconnect obviously early on, which was heartbreaking for him, and Simon Haynes, the safety car driver this evening. What a race. Hopefully we've got some drivers on standby very shortly to try and get their thoughts. We'll wait for them to jump into the comm box. Hopefully they're not too far away from coming to have a chat with us, because obviously we'd love to have a chat with some drivers and get their thoughts on the action this evening. And we do actually have in the booth, we'll drag him in here, Mark Poynton, and we'll get him in the booth. We'll have a chat to the man that, look, it finished second, but it does seem that it is a little bit up in the air at the moment for Mark Poynton. Mark, welcome into the booth. It's a pleasure to have you in here. First of all, congratulations on the podium. Seems that it's a bit of conjecture over where you might have finished, but still a lovely result for you nonetheless.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think I can solve the suspense. I think I may have finished third. I was given a 5-second post-race penalty, so I think that might bring me down to third and Brian up. And apologies to Brian. I think I haven't seen the incident and I haven't gone back to look at it, but certainly from inside the car, I just tried to get off the corner early. I think I spun the wheels, he spun the wheels, the car kicked a little bit sideways, and he ended up a little bit worse for wear. So apologies to Brian, not my intention, but yeah, sometimes these things happen.
That's right. It's racing, isn't it? And it looked great from the battle you guys were having. Looked great from up here in the comm box. Talk us through that race. Obviously, there was a couple safety cars through strategies, a little bit haywire there for a few drivers, but you set yourself up well on that final safety car restart to be within podium contention. How are you feeling in the cockpit out there? How was it battling with those guys? Obviously, quite a lot happening. Did you sort of feel like you were always in a strong position, or did it sort of come to you as the race went on?
No, look, I felt like pretty good. I'd been doing a bit of practice for another series that was on Sunday night, just gone. So yeah, I've done a fair bit of practice here, and yeah, felt quick. I knew that I wasn't going to catch Wayne, but and to be fair, I probably wouldn't have caught Brian either if he was in front of me, but this track is really hard to pass. I knew if I just positioned the car properly, I had a good chance of staying in front. Brian was lightning fast.
Yeah, he was. Wayne and Brian have been fairly, I want to say, in a league of their own the last couple of weeks. They've been super quick, but you were doing a wonderful job out there tonight. Obviously, we head to Adelaide next week, the final round of the season. It's again a very technical circuit, very difficult to pass. Is it obviously? I feel like this is a given at this question, but is it a circuit you're looking forward to?
It is, mate. It's my home track. So
wonderful. Absolutely.
Coming from Adelaide, so I kind of live halfway between the Adelaide Street Circuit and the Bend. So
yeah, wow. There you go.
I'm happy with either of those two locations, mate.
Well, we'll make sure that we keep it. I'll keep that in the memory bank, and we'll make sure that we shout that one out for you next week, won't we? When we're on the broadcast. But before we let you go this evening, Mark, obviously congratulations once again. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any final thoughts?
Mate, just a huge shout out to yourself and Jared and all the team that behind the scenes that do the broadcast. You guys do an awesome job. And I guess on a personal note, just our team, Juiced Energy, Racecraft Simulations, Blue Stampede Labour Hire, and Stodhor. They help us get on track, and obviously Race Control too. Shout out to them. They do a really good job, and sometimes are a bit forgotten. So yeah, big thanks to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, once again, congratulations. I'm sure, as you said, there's a little bit of, obviously, a penalty there at the end, but I'm sure Brian definitely will appreciate the apology, and I'm sure you'll get a chance to chat to him as the evening goes on. But yeah, once again, congratulations, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week at Adelaide, and hopefully get to chat to you at your home track.
Fingers crossed, mate. Thanks very much.
As Mark pointing there, third place in tonight's race. And we'll bring in our second place driver. I'll hand over to you, Josh Harris, to have a chat to the man as we put him in. We'll hand you over to have a chat to Brian Borg.
Welcome in, Brian. What a fantastic race. You seemed to be absolutely rapid tonight. So probably, not necessarily entirely stoked with the second place, but just talk us through. Nearly everyone took that lap one safety car. Were you nervous at any point tonight that you had maybe taken a strategic misstep, or were you reasonably confident that you'd get that safety car later in the race that you could utilise to your advantage?
To be completely honest, probably just there's no clarity around the safety car. I was told different in round 2, but that's why I didn't take. I thought that you had to cross the line after lap 1, and other people were questioning it as well. So that's what I thought. That's the only reason why I didn't pit. If I knew that you could pit, I would definitely 100% pit lap 1 when everyone else did.
Yeah, that makes sense, and hopefully you guys do get that clarification. A late race battle with Mark Poynton. He was doing a fantastic job of keeping you at bay. I'm sure that you were enjoying the battle. A little bump there that he's copped a 5-second penalty for. So you jump up to second. Your overall thoughts on the race? Were you happy with your pace? Enjoy those battles out on track?
Yeah, 100%. And even with the different strategy, it still ended up working out okay. I didn't really want to race the two up ahead, thinking that, okay, well, if they haven't done their CPS, I don't really need to fight for the position. But then obviously you don't know if that's the rules, and that's where obviously clarity needs to come over it, because if the rules are clear, then obviously you fight for the position. So I got to go and have a look at the actual incident with Mark, but I know it wasn't intentional or whatever. I got to have a look. I just called it in.
No, of course it's these cars are pretty hard to race. So I'm sure we're all on the same page there. That it's a challenging beast, and these things happen, intentional or not. Talk to us though. We cast our mind next week, final race of the series, heading over to Adelaide Street Circuit. Does that whet your appetite? Are we excited for jumping through that turn 1-2 chicane, lots of concrete, all that sort of stuff, or not your cup of tea?
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping with all the travels coming from Canada, like we have to go the long way around because of all the missiles happening and all of that stuff. So hopefully all the teams make it back safely to the other side of the country.
Of course. But
I'm looking forward to Adelaide and jumping over curbs and going up against walls, and obviously racing with the people who I've been racing with, man. It's been good fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic, mate. Look, we'll let you head on and celebrate. You drove an absolutely stellar night tonight. You were in a league of your own as far as single lap pace goes, and obviously a little bit of confusion there in the second race kept you in touch with the pack. But before we do let you head off for the rest of your race, or the rest of your evening, we'll just give you the opportunity. Is there anyone that you want to shout out? Any other thoughts that you've got for us before you head off tonight?
Yeah, just my business, or the business that I'm with, Mustang Mods, MP Concepts, Hero Performance, you guys for running it. I got to do a big shout out to Damien, who I work with. He puts in a lot of sponsorship into the team, so yeah, just a big shout out to Damien, and you guys, for the broadcast.
No, mate, thank you very much. You have a wonderful night. Once again, congratulations on a fantastic night. First and seconds, certainly not bad for the points, and look forward to seeing what you can pull out in Adelaide.
Yeah, cheers guys, thanks again.
Yeah, wonderful. That's Brian Borg there. And yeah, what a result for him tonight, second place. And now we bring in the man that I feel like, I don't think there's a round gone by we haven't had the pleasure of having this man's company in the commentary box. It is, of course, our race winner and man that I have to feel has one hand on the championship trophy. Wayne Walker. Wayne, welcome into the booth. First of all, congratulations. That race, look, there's a little bit happening here and there, but in the end, you looked fairly in control.
Oh, not really. I think if strategies had played out a bit different, I think the race was, well, like Borg I think had the pace to win that. But yeah, just strategy. I think he was a bit unsure of whether you're allowed to pit on lap 1 for the CPS, so he stayed out. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much what won the race in the end.
Yeah, well, talk to us about that strategy. Obviously, you were one of the drivers that elected to come in at that sort of safety car on lap 1. I don't know if lap 1 was always the plan for you. It might have been, but just how much did that first lap pit stop change your strategy that you were going with this evening?
I was still planning on pitting reasonably early, not lap 1, but so then yeah, the pit stop on lap 1 and the rest of the race, it was just pretty much split it in half. So it changed my strategy, but it didn't really affect much in my sort of race or how I was driving or anything, I don't think.
Did you find it difficult on tyres with the change strategy out there, or was this just a circuit that you found was pretty good? If you looked after the car, it looked after you with the tyres.
Yeah, I think as long as you didn't overdrive the car and slide it too much, you know, keep the temperature, you know, down a little bit, you could run pretty consistent pace, sort of, you know, after the initial drop off, it would sort of level out for the rest of the stint. So yeah, a tyre where I didn't think was too bad on this track.
Well, that's obviously interesting to note, and something we definitely will keep in mind. Obviously, I think this was a new track for ASR this season, so it was interesting to see the different perspectives that drivers have on it. But look, tell me, we head into the final round next week, Adelaide. I definitely do not want to jinx anything, but you have to feel like you probably have one hand on the trophy in defending your title. Do you feel like you're in a strong position, obviously leading the championship? You've got Matt Vanderkraan, who didn't finish ahead of you at any point tonight, so you'll gain points on him this evening. But do you feel like it's one hand on the trophy, or are you more focused on showing up next week at Adelaide and making sure that you finish ahead of him just to cement that championship spot?
Yeah, like I think going into the last round, I'm in a good position, but you know, with Adelaide, there's so many spots you can sort of end your race, and yeah, like the last round being a non-dropped round as well. I think it's just a matter of finishing. Not going to make any stupid. Well, I'll be trying not to make any stupid mistakes.
Well, we look forward to watching you do what you do best at Adelaide next week. It was a pleasure to watch you do it tonight in Canada. So congratulations once again, and hopefully next week we'll be talking to you once again. I'm sure we probably have you in the booth regardless. As I said, I don't think there's been a round we haven't had you in the booth this evening. But before we do let you go, obviously anyone you want to give a shout out to or any final thoughts you wanted to share?
Yeah, just everyone who helps run the league. Race control, you guys for the broadcast. You guys do an amazing job every week. To Mark and Brian as well, like congratulate them on their podiums, and Borg on the win in race 1. All the other competitors as well, because without them it's not possible either. And our sponsors, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box and Lock Narang, and Modern Deck.
Wonderful. Well, that's definitely a lovely shout, and we obviously appreciate your time as always, jumping in and having a chat. Once again, congratulations, Wayne, and good luck for Adelaide for the final round next week.
Yep, thank you.
Wayne Walker there, your race 2 winner, and that'll bring us to a close on the action this evening. And Josh, what a night it was. You predicted that this was going to be a track that was hard on braking, and we saw multiple drivers make mistakes throughout the evening, and in the end it was a fairly action-packed evening. We had more safety cars than I thought we might have had in the end.
It was a fantastic night of racing. There was some absolutely fantastic driving. There's no doubt about that. There was action aplenty. There was crashes. There was all the things that we come to see when we watch motorsport. It set us up for an absolutely grandstand finish on the streets of Adelaide next week. I can't wait to get there. It's one of the best tracks in Australia. There's no doubt about it. It's Supercar's heartland. Let's get it on.
Absolutely, could not have said it better myself. Well, that'll do it here for round 9 here in Canada, and we have really appreciated your company this evening. We will see you again next week, this time next week, for the final round in Adelaide, and it'll be myself, Isaac Fogarty, and Josh Harris in the booth once again to bring you all that action. If you do want to get more of your racing fix this week, then head over to the Simple Racing Broadcasts channel. We have MC Motorsport in the GT3s tomorrow night, so plenty of more action. We have also Monday night action with MC Motorsport and their V8 Supercar series, so make sure you check that out as well. But for now, that'll do it here this evening. On behalf of everyone at Simple Racing Broadcasts, Jared Cole and Josh Harris, and myself, of course, Isaac Fogarty, we thank you for your company. We'll stay safe, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.